Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and I've asked Pat Williams, he's the Managing Director of Revolver Resources. God, I love that name, Revolver Resources. ASX code is RRR. Two projects in Queensland, Dianne, which is kind of north of Cairns, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, and the Osprey project, which is still in Queensland, and that's sort of out west, I think, or is it east? Anyway,
North of Mount Isa, Kerry.
There we go, north of Mount Isa. So really exciting time for Revolver. I wanted to get Pat back on because these are two outstanding district scale projects, and we'll go through both of them. But welcome back, Pat. Great to see you. I know that you've been very busy, so thank you so much for your time today on Small Caps.
No, that's great to be back, Kerry, and good to share some of the achievements that Revolver's done through the year, and particularly the second half of the year.
Well, particularly because you and I spoke about it was about 4 months ago. So let's talk about what you've achieved in the second half of 2022, and then let's go into what's going to happen in 23. So let's just go to 2022. What you been up to?
So look, Kerry, we listed the business. The Dianne asset was very intriguing. You know, Australia's highest grade ever producing copper mine, and still to this day. It had the promise of an underexplored region around it, and that was, you know, the prospect that we took to the market when we listed. Where we sit right now, just over 12 months later, is we can quite categorically say this is a remarkable region filled with very high potential projects and possibilities. So we've continued the development of the Dianne project itself. We brought that now to a resource statement, confirmed the initial metallurgy work and the resource release, just out now. But in addition to that, we've put the work into the regions around Dianne and the projects next door that we've identified and acquired through the course of the year. So we've assembled quite a remarkable district scale opportunity with evidence of where the trends lie and why we're saying this. So we've conducted the aggregation of the acreage. We've also done the geology and geochemistry. We've released that. We've done some extended geophysics, and we're in the process of modelling that right now. But we've got that confirmation, Kerry, from the geology, the geochemistry, and the geophysics of a remarkable district scale opportunity with more than 30 very high priority drill targets in clearly defined geological zones. So the story makes sense as to why you'd find those targets where they are. We're seeing.
Stop there and just tell us, why does the story make sense, and why is it found? Why is it being found there, and what are you finding? Just unpack it a little bit for us.
Okay, so look, Dianne is the remaining Dianne is the remnants of a VMS deposit. Mm-hmm. They're not unicorns, Kerry. Where there's one, there's more. They occur in camps and clusters, and the challenge with VMS exploration is they're discrete, defined, and you can spend a lot of money in large areas, without focus. So the important thing for us was to understand what the geological setting is. The first round of heli EM that we put out in August, quite clearly showed, it's blind, but the north-northwest trend that's running clearly through the Dianne region that contains, the historic Dianne operation, outlines for us the structural trend that we're on. So you go, right, that's a high strain zone. You've got the Dianne deposit, and lo and behold, that's where the anomalies came from the heli EM survey. So it's not surprising. As a matter of fact, it's confirmatory that if you've got the geological setting and you're finding anomalies, you're getting that convergence of logic going, right, that's where we're exploring, that's what we're looking for. And in parallel to that, another 5 kilometres to the west, there's a larger and more lucrative volcanic trend, the Laramore Volcanics, also running north-northwest, and that precipitated the acquisition behaviour with the Mount Bennett project, and more recently the Colt project that we've added in to the surrounding acreage around Dianne. So we have 2 very large district-scale, geological trends on which we've put the boots on the ground to do the surface mapping, the geology, the surface geochemistry sampling, and we've applied the overlying heli EM work too, and we're getting that convergence of feedback that's saying, all right, these are just a cracker of an opportunity, rich with targets, supported by the geochemistry and the geology. So, we have established for ourselves a district scale play that, shows that, Dianne wasn't a unicorn. Where there's one, there's more. And we're laying out, dozens and dozens of these targets for us to go and progress and pursue, to find more of those. And that's what's in front of us. So that's what we've achieved. Not forgetting the fact that we've locked away, defined, and we now have ring-fenced the shape size of the remaining ore body at Dianne. So that's an exciting thing. So that opens up a pathway for us that it's on granted mining leases.
Right.
The ore body is at surface. It's in a bulk mineable geometry. Very good, initial metallurgy that we published not too long ago. So it has the hallmark signs of a very good near-term production opportunity, and we're studying the steps required to activate that as well. So, short amount of time since we've listed, we've done a hell of a lot, and we're really excited about the upside potential down both of those pathways at Dianne. So, it's a good situation for us to be in, Kerry.
I want to take it in a really simplistic way, because I know that some of our beautiful community out there will be going, I just need to understand what the investment thesis is, if you like. So Dianne was a former mine, one of the highest grade, lowest cost producers within Australia. You guys, you got your hands on it. There is still ore there, but you've now gone and grabbed a lot of ground around Dianne, including a couple of joint ventures, which allows for the exploration upside. But my question to you is, Pat, do you take the ore that's at Dianne at the moment and go into early stage production, or do you still focus on the exploration upside as I talk to you now in December 2022?
Look, I think the best answer to that, Kerry, is do both. But we can juggle both. It's not one or the other. Both opportunities show very good potential, and we have the bandwidth, the experience, and the capability to do both, because that's how they support each other. Any plant and equipment, any operating capability to exploit the remaining ore body at Dianne is clearly going to, be informed or designed around other deposits close by. And let's not forget, we're only talking 2 or 3 or 4 kilometres. We're not talking exhaustive distances. So discoveries, adjacent in the new acreage or even in other parts of the Dianne tenement, they will all feed to central processing. So, we're building, a copper producing district here, and, pursuing with both makes very good sense. And that's what our plan is to do, not favour one or the other. continue working on both. So we've activated early stage studies for the near term production, and we continue to explore in and around Dianne, the tenements around Dianne, and the newly acquired ones as well. So doing both all the time.
Talk to us about the CapEx and what sort of infrastructure you've got there. How are you going to fund getting into production, Pat?
Look, that's one of the early and quick deliverables out of the studies that we're doing at the moment, Kerry. Naturally, it's a small deposit. We're not denying that. The resource is, 20,000 tonnes of contained metal. There is, additional ore there. We haven't, quantified any of the zinc or any of the silver. It was known and documented that the production at Dianne contained, significant amounts of zinc and silver. The Green Hill ore body itself isn't closed off. And we know, curiously, I don't think I've told you this, but the mined out void from the historic mine at Dianne was filled with low-grade waste, which on a couple of the intersects that we've got is about 10% copper. So the void itself is filled with ore that didn't quite make the 20% cut-off grade for the ore being sold back in the day. So there's a number of upside opportunities.
Stop, Pat. Stop. You're saying, and look, because we actually haven't talked about grade very much in this conversation. I want to make sure that I got this right. You're saying that the waste that's sitting there is coming back at 10% copper. Now, I just want to make clear to those people out there, the average grade of a copper mine these days is less than 1%. Isn't that correct?
That's a good guide. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you're saying the waste at Dianne is 10% and the grade in the rock is about 20%. Am I getting those numbers right?
Okay. Let me help you there a bit. The waste that was put back in the underground open stope operation, so the fill material that was put back into the void is some of the intersections, we don't have enough of them, couldn't be used in the resource, but we've some drill intersections that go through the old mining void, and that's got and so that's a 5 metre wide, steeply dipping hole in the ground, but it's been filled with waste material at the day that is showing 10% copper grade. So it will increment, the contained metal recovery. But let's get to the point of grade. So we've got two types of ore at Dianne in the resource. We've got the oxide, which goes down the production pathway of a heap leach, and we have a remaining chalcocite and a massive sulfide primary ore, and that's typically the crush grind float process pathway. So we have two bodies of material, some of each, approximately a half. The oxide ore is just below 1% average grade, and the massive sulfide chalcocite has come in at 6%. So again, in and of itself, so in aggregate, that's where the 1.65 million tonnes at 1.1%. So it's still, 6% is great grade. So you make money out of that, Kerry. We will, and the studies will find for us the pathway to right size. So capital, we would expect to, you certainly can't overspend, but leach pads aren't expensive. It's all civil works, and modularized plant that you can bring in 20-foot shipping containers, to treat the liquor that comes from the leach pad. So it's a very small scale footprint. You're not having to build, legacy on-site infrastructure, and we've got to consider what we do with the primary ore. Do we just crush that, grade it, and truck it off site? It's not a substantial quantity. It's a significant amount of copper, but it wouldn't be out of the question to truck that off site rather than worry about processing that locally. So lots of questions to answer, but at the end of each of them are, exciting, profit generating outcomes that, will help Revolver as a business go through those growth steps. So every dollar that we don't have to raise and bring in new shareholders for the upside, exploration opportunities is a good thing. So we have the capability to pursue both. We intend to keep both advancing and do the right things for shareholders. So we've got some great opportunities in front of us, and we want to get them all quickly. And that's kind of, the opportunity now that's unfolding just needs to be converted. We can work up here at Dianne 12 months of the year. There's not a month through 2022 that we weren't on site. Okay. It does get tough going. Rain and mud and March flies aren't pleasant, but the operating environment for us means that we can work. We've got to pick the right tasks. You can't be doing electrical surveys and lightning storms and all that crazy stuff. But we understand the district. We have a very good network of local, service providers and those capable of assisting us. And we've proven that we can work there every month of the year. So we can fast track, and we do intend to take big steps quickly down both of those avenues to work out the maximum way to give a great return to our shareholders.
That's what I'm looking for. What's the return to shareholders? Because I know Dianne has got 6 mining leases. It's got an exploration permit. I want to find out those 2 joint ventures that you did. Can you just explain, I guess, the rationale behind doing those and the structure of it, the value for shareholders, I guess?
So there's one joint venture and one straight out acquisition. So there's pretty much a large package of land, completely surrounding Dianne. We bought that effectively, $150,000 worth of cash and the balance in shares. So, as the selling organisation was they weren't active in the region. They secured this ground some time ago. They weren't planning on using it. They focused on other areas. So we bought that, and within that area there are some very peculiar sub-blocks that were a part of a moratorium. They were restricted by the government, for various reasons. And they were picked up by another organisation, Colt Resources. So that's a joint venture that's got a very simple earn-in structure. 60 grand, gets Revolver 75%, 60 grand of in-ground expenditure.
Yep.
Gets Revolver 70% of that. Colt wanted to keep 30% as opportunistic upside. So Revolver is responsible for setting the exploration expenditure and activity plan for close to 800 square kilometres now of our own and our newly acquired acreage that accommodates both of these significant regional scale geological trends that run through the acreage.
Pat, we don't have a lot of time left. I'm not going to get into Osprey this time. Do you know what? I want to get you back in February next year, and we'll focus on Osprey then, because there's some really interesting stuff. But for Dianne, what are you going to be doing as we go into 2023 again to give that sort of value to shareholders? Because look, there's other companies out there that have got copper deposits and that sort of thing. I want to explain, if you like, what's going to happen in 2023 and why now's an exciting time for Revolver.
Well, Kerry, importantly, I think we're not going to talk about either of the 2 pathways at Dianne. We're actually going to implement them. So we're going to press forward with the steps required to get into early stage production with the remaining ore body. And we're going to continue to explore and capture the opportunities that we've identified in the regional opportunities and targets at Dianne. So we're going to drill. Okay, we're going to put drills on these booming targets to get results, and we're going to continue to do that to build the upside opportunity.
Got some people having a look at you at the moment. Is anyone sniffing around? I just have to ask that question because if this is as rich as you feel it could be, anyone sniffing around at the moment, or can't you talk about that?
Oh, look, Kerry, I get more calls now than I did 12 months ago, put it that way. It's nice to, get incoming calls because we take very seriously what we do. We want to deliver outstanding results to our shareholders by developing solutions to, the shortage of copper in the market. So for us to be getting, encouragement from a whole variety of people saying, you're doing a great job, keep me updated, look forward to hearing that story. There are more incoming contacts than I'm making outgoing at the moment. And that's just not to do with the fact that I don't have bandwidth when I'm out on the project. But it's good to, I think we're on people's radar. I'm fairly comfortable about that. And that's an encouraging feeling as well.
All right. So drilling's going to be ongoing. One of the things you talked about was production. Is that near-term production or is that way further down the track?
Look, it's likely to be 18 months to 2 years. By the time you get, we need to do some more, metallurgy studies. There's no doubt about that. We've done, initial first pass, leach and flotation test. We've got to do more of those. So, there's no, we don't want to kind of put the cart before the horse. But it's 2 years roundabout to production. So, that's a reasonable time frame. But we're sitting on granted mining leases. We have, all of those approvals in place that are important, that can soak up time and take, all sorts of unexpected twists and turns. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable time frame.
Before I go and ask you about 3 reasons people should be sitting up and taking notice of you, Pat, you've been in the business for a while. Would you say that this is one of the better deposits that you've come across in your career? How would you rank it, I guess, is the question.
Kerry, it's always good to go to bed and sleep at night where you have that underlying confidence that, well, both from myself and my team, that we're actually onto something here. So it's that quietly confident, not overconfident position where we've actually really got something here, and we're going to take careful, considered steps to prove that, to unlock that, and give evidence, because there's too many indicators along the way. There's so much smoke coming here from the work we're doing that we're onto something, and we just need to tie it together and deliver.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he's very circumspect in the way he likes to talk about this, but he is onto something, as he just said. Pat, wrap it all up in a bow, if you like, for us, and give us 3 reasons why right now is a brilliant time to be sitting up and taking a look at Revolver Resources.
Look, Kerry, we do what we say. We're delivering results very quickly, and we've got some amazing project potential right in front of us here that we're going to be delivering results on constantly through 2023.
Well, it's been an exciting time. And ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even get onto Osprey. So go to the website, revolverresources.com.au, and check out Osprey as well, because we'll get into that next year. But I really wanted to find out about Dianne. There is that near-term production, but I think for all of you out there as well, some interesting grades, and it's the exploration upside as well as the near-term production that makes Revolver Resources something that I think you all need to take a look at. Pat Williams, Managing Director of Revolver, thanks for joining me on Small Caps today.
Good on you, Kerry. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.